Have you ever noticed how the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest one? Maybe you felt it before. That moment when someone pushes your buttons, when every cell in your body wants to respond, to defend, to explain yourself. Your thoughts race, your chest tightens, you rehearse the perfect words in your head, and yet, deep down, you wonder why a winning argument never actually feels like winning. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're human. You want to be understood, respected, seen. But somewhere along the way, the world convinced you that being heard means being loud, that silence means losing, that walking away means you didn't have enough courage to fight back. That belief quietly drains you. Arguments steal time you never get back. They hijack your peace. They pull you into emotional storms that leave you tired, angry, and questioning yourself long after the conversation ends. You replay words in your mind at night. You imagine better responses, smarter comebacks, stronger versions of yourself that spoke faster and sharper, and still nothing changes because most arguments aren't about truth, they're about ego. When someone feels challenged, their mind doesn't open, it locks. Logic disappears. Listening stops. What remains is the desperate need to protect identity, to be right at any cost. That's why even the clearest facts can bounce off closed minds like they never existed. You may have already sensed this. You explain calmly, yet they grow louder. You stay respectful, yet they become aggressive. And suddenly you realize something unsettling. They aren't listening to understand you, they're listening to defeat you. This is the moment intelligent people begin to change, not because they lack words, not because they fear confrontation, but because they recognize a painful truth most never accept. Some battles are designed to be won with silence. When chosen intentionally, is not absence, it's restraint, it's awareness, it's power under control. It takes strength to pause when provoked, to breathe when attacked, to watch emotion rise and choose not to obey it. Anyone can react. Very few can remain grounded when their ego is challenged. Silence protects your energy. It keeps your nervous system calm while others spiral. It allows you to see clearly while others drown in emotion. When you stop reacting, you start observing, you notice patterns, you see who needs chaos to feel important. You recognize who confuses volume with authority, and you begin to understand that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. There is something unsettling about calm. When you don't respond the way people expect, it disrupts them. They anticipate defense. They prepare for conflict. But when you offer neither, they're forced to confront themselves. Silence removes their stage. And in that quiet, something shifts. You reclaim control. Because the moment you stop needing to prove yourself, you become untouchable. You no longer chase validation through words. You no longer trade peace for temporary dominance. You realize that real confidence doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. Silence isn't about avoidance. It's about precision. You learn to speak when it matters. You learn to walk away when it doesn't. You learn that your worth is not measured by how well you argue, but by how well you protect your mind. The most intelligent people aren't silent all the time. They are silent on purpose. They understand that attention is currency, energy is limited, and peace is priceless. While others exhaust themselves trying to be right, they invest in becoming better, stronger, calmer, focused. They choose growth over noise, direction over distraction, control over chaos, and slowly, almost invisibly, life begins to change. Conflict lose their grip. Stress loosens its hold. Your presence becomes heavier, even when your voice is soft, because when you master silence, you master yourself. And once you do that, no argument can ever take your power again. And once you feel that control return, something inside you wakes up, a quiet certainty, a realization that you've been giving too much of yourself away. Every argument you entered pulled you further from who you wanted to become. Every reaction handed someone else the steering wheel to your emotions. And now you see it clearly. Your peace was never fragile. You just kept placing it in the wrong hands. Most people live their lives on emotional autopilot, triggered, provoked, dragged into battles they never chose. They wake up tired, not from work, but from carrying invisible conflicts that never mattered. Their minds stay loud, their focus scattered, their energy drained before the day even begins. You don't have to live like that anymore. Because silence does more than protect you, it sharpens you. When you stop reacting, your mind slows down. When your mind slows down, clarity rushes in. You begin to notice how often people speak just to fill emptiness, how often anger hides fear, how often arrogance masks insecurity. And suddenly, arguments look different. They no longer appear as threats, they appear as traps. Traps designed to pull you into chaos, to make you emotional instead of intentional, to make you loud instead of effective. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs grounded minds. When you choose silence, you choose discipline, and discipline is rare. Rare things carry weight. That's why calm people command attention without demanding it. Their presence feels stable. Their words land harder because they don't waste them. They don't speak to dominate, they speak to decide. You begin to understand that not every truth needs defending, not every misunderstanding needs correction, not every disrespect deserves access to your nervous system. Some people argue to feel powerful. You remain silent because you already are, and that shift changes everything. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop shrinking to fit conversations that were never meant for your growth. You stop fighting to be heard by people who benefit from not listening. Instead, you redirect that energy inward. You build resilience, you train focus, you strengthen patience, while others exhaust themselves proving points. You sharpen skills, while others seek validation. You build vision, while others chase approval. You cultivate self-trust. This is where momentum forms. Because once you realize that emotional mastery is a skill, not a personality trait, you start training it. You pause before reacting, you breathe before responding, you choose intention over impulse. At first it feels uncomfortable, your ego resists, it wants the rush, the release, the victory of the last word. But growth is rarely loud, growth is quiet repetition, calm choices made again and again until they become identity, and over time, people feel the difference. They sense your stability, they test you less, they respect boundaries you no longer need to announce. Not because you intimidate them, but because you stopped being available for disorder. This is what emotional independence looks like. You are no longer controlled by tone, volume, or provocation. You are no longer reactive, you are selective. And selection is power. Life begins to open when you stop leaking energy, your thinking deepens, your decisions improve. Your confidence settles into something unshakable. You don't need to win conversations, you need to win mornings, win focus, win direction. Because the loudest victories fade fast, but inner control compounds. Silence gives you time to think long-term while others think emotional, time to build while others argue, time to move forward while others stay stuck proving they're right. And the most important truth begins to sink in. You were never meant to attend every fight you're invited to. Your purpose is bigger than momentary conflict. Your future requires clarity, not chaos. The world will always offer noise, opinions, provocation, distractions. But you now understand something most never learn. Peace isn't passive, it's chosen. And when you choose it consistently, your life stops reacting and starts advancing. And as your life begins to advance, another truth reveals itself. Silence doesn't just protect your peace, it reshapes your identity. You start to feel it in small moments. A pause where panic used to live, a calm breath where anger once rushed in, a steady heartbeat while others lose control. That calm is not accidental, it's earned. Because emotional mastery is not passive comfort, it's daily resistance against chaos. It's choosing long-term power over short-term relief. Most people never develop it, they chase stimulation. They confuse reaction with authenticity. They believe expressing everything makes them real. But real strength doesn't leak the moment you stop reacting publicly. Your mind grows privately. You begin thinking deeper. You start seeing further. You notice how many people live trapped inside the present second. They fight over words, over tone, over moments that disappear as soon as they happen. Meanwhile, your attention turns forward. You stop asking who's right. You start asking what matters. That shift separates leaders from noise, builders from talkers, those who grow from those who stay busy. Silence creates space, and space allows vision. When your mind is no longer cluttered by emotional debris, you begin to hear yourself again. Your intuition sharpens, your instincts return, your direction becomes clear. You realize how often arguments were distractions disguised as importance, how much time you lost defending opinions instead of developing purpose. That realization stings, but it also liberates, because regret, when faced honestly, becomes fuel. You no longer crave the last word, you crave progress, and progress requires focus. Every emotional outburst taxes your nervous system. Every unnecessary conflict chips away at discipline. You don't notice it day by day, but over years it compounds into exhaustion. That's why so many people feel tired without knowing why. Their minds never rest, their emotions never settle. They are constantly bracing for the next confrontation. You step off that cycle. You begin protecting your intent. Like wealth, you stop donating energy to conversations that offer no return. You become intentional with where your thoughts go. This is when momentum accelerates. Your confidence stops being loud and becomes solid. It doesn't spike. It stabilizes. You walk differently. You listen more. You speak with weight. People sense it immediately. Not because you dominate rooms, but because you are no longer dominated by them. You don't rush to be understood. You understand yourself. That self-alignment becomes your anchor. When criticism appears, it doesn't shake you. When disagreement arises, it doesn't threaten you. You know who you are building. And builders don't argue with debris, they clear it. Silence becomes your filter. If something disturbs your peace, you ask one question internally. Does this move me forward or pull me back? If it pulls you back, you let it pass. Not out of fear, out of clarity. This is where urgency matters. Because every year spent reacting is a year delayed from becoming who you could be. Every emotional battle drains hours from your future time. It's not lost in big mistakes, it's lost in daily noise. You don't need to change everything at once, but you must change this. How quickly you react, how easily you engage, how often you give access to your inner state. Silence is not about withdrawal from the world. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. You can still speak, still stand firm, still express truth. But now you choose NTS with precision. Your words become fewer, your impact becomes greater. That's how influence actually works. Not through volume, through gravity. People listen when you speak because you don't speak to fill space, you speak to shape outcomes, and eventually something profound happens. You stop needing approval, you stop fearing judgment, you stop seeking permission to exist as you are. Your confidence no longer rises from winning debates, it rises from winning control. You understand that silence is not emptiness, it's containment. It holds discipline, it holds patience, it holds power waiting for the right moment. And once you learn to carry that power quietly, life stops feeling like a fight. It becomes a direction. You wake up with clarity instead of tension. You move with purpose instead of urgency. You respond from strength instead of habit. Because the strongest minds are not built in argument. They are built in stillness. And now that you know this, you can never unsee it. The noise will continue. The world will provoke. Voices will demand reaction. But you have something most people never develop. Control. And with control, everything changes, and once control becomes your foundation, your life begins to demand more from you, not comfort, not safety, growth, because silence doesn't make life easier. It makes it clearer. You start seeing where you've been settling, where you've been tolerating distractions instead of chasing direction, where you have been busy instead of effective. That awareness is heavy, but it's also the doorway. Most people never reach this point. They stay addicted to reaction because reaction feels alive. Anger feels powerful. Argument feel important, but importance is not impact. You begin to crave something deeper, a life that moves forward, even when no one is watching. A mind that stays focused even when chaos knocks. A future built quietly, deliberately, relentlessly. This is where discipline replaces emotion. You wake up with intention. You move with structure. You stop negotiating with your impulses. Silence strengthens this discipline. It teaches you to pause before pleasure, to think before speaking, to choose before committing, and the more you practice restraint, the more unstoppable you become, because the world is designed to pull your attention apart. Notifications, opinion, drama, comparison, every distraction fragments your focus. Silence gathers it back. Your attention sharpens into a weapon. Your mind becomes quieter but stronger. You stop consuming chaos and start creating clarity. This is when your internal voice gets louder. Not the voice of fear, the voice of direction. It tells you when to speak, when to walk away, when to act without announcing it. You begin to understand that not everyone will understand you, and that's not a problem. Approval is expensive. It costs authenticity. When you stop chasing it, you reclaim yourself. You no longer argue to be liked. You no longer explain to be accepted. You no longer shrink to avoid tension. You stand firm without resistance. That kind of presence is rare. People feel it before they hear it. They sense your boundaries. They notice your calm. Not everyone will like it, but many will respect it. And respect lasts longer than agreement. As your mind clears, your priorities sharpen. You stop wasting nights replaying conversations. You stop carrying emotion residue from people who don't know your goals. You conserve mental energy for creation. Creation of habits, creation of skills, creation of a future that doesn't depend on permission. This is where urgency becomes real, because every day you remain reactive is a day you delay momentum. Every argument you entertain steals minutes from mastery. Time doesn't wait for clarity, it rewards action. Silence creates the conditions for that action. It allows you to think long-term, while others chase immediate relief. It gives you patience when others demand instant outcomes. Helps you see years ahead, while others argue over moments. You start asking different questions internally. Not how do I respond, but how do I progress? Not how do I win this, but where am I going? Direction becomes more important than defense. Your identity shifts. You are no longer someone trying to be right. You become someone trying to become better. That changes everything. Because improvement compounds quietly. No applause, no validation. Just consistent movement forward. Days stack, weeks deepen, confidence roots itself. You don't feel the need to announce your growth. You let results speak in time. This is maturity, not silence born from fear. Silence born from choice. You choose where your energy goes. You choose what deserves your attention. You choose not to attend every emotional invitation. And slowly, life responds. Less chaos finds you. Less drama follows you. More opportunity appears. Because clarity attracts clarity, you become harder to manipulate, harder to provoke, harder to distract. Not because you closed your heart, but because you disciplined your mind. The world grows louder every year, faster, angrier, more demanding. Those who survive it are not the strongest physically. They are the calmest mentally. Silence becomes your armor. Focus becomes your edge. Consistency becomes your language. You stop reacting to life. You start shaping it. And that is the turning point, where intelligence stops being knowledge and becomes wisdom, where quiet stops being empty and becomes intentional, where your life no longer moves at the speed of emotion, but at the speed of purpose. Because when you master silence, you don't disappear. You rise, calm, focused, unshakable, and nothing noisy can ever control you again. And when you rise into that calm, the world starts testing you harder not to break you, to see if you've truly changed. The old triggers return, the same personalities, the same disrespect, the same invitations to react. But now something is different. You feel the spark ignite and fade. The emotion appears and passes. You no longer chase it. That is growth. Because power isn't proven when life is quiet. It's proven when chaos knocks and you don't answer. Most people fall back here. They mistake discipline for suppression. They think silence means swallowing pain. But this silence is not fear. It's command. You are not ignoring reality. You are choosing how deeply it enters you. That choice is everything. Once you realize that no one can force emotion into you without your permission, freedom hits differently. You stop living defensively. You stop bracing for impact. You begin moving forward regardless of noise. That is when momentum becomes dangerous. Your days gain direction. Your habits align. Your standards rise. You don't argue about respect. You live at a level that demands it. You don't beg to be understood. You operate from clarity. And clarity attracts opportunity while others burn energy proving themselves. You invested building leverage, skills, discipline, health, focus, the invisible foundations that create visible results. This is why silence terrifies insecure people, because they sense what's happening beneath it. They feel the distance growing, not emotional distance, evolutionary distance. You're no longer playing the same game. Arguments belong to people stuck in place. Growth belongs to those willing to move quietly. The truth is uncomfortable. No one becomes exceptional by winning conversations. They become exceptional by winning mornings, by winning consistency, by winning control when no one is watching. Silence teaches patience. Patience multiplies progress. Every time you don't react, you store energy. Every time you walk away, you preserve focus. Every time you choose restraint, you strengthen identity. And identity shapes destiny. This is where belief changes. You stop believing confidence is something you show. You realize it's something you carry. You stop chasing motivation. You build standards. You stop hoping life will calm down. You become calm enough to handle it. That's when urgency sets in. Because you see how many years were spent distracted. How many dreams delayed by emotion. How many opportunities missed. Because energy was wasted on noise. That awareness burns, but it also fuels. You don't want to go back. You can't afford to. Not to constant reaction, not to emotional chaos, not to proving yourself to people who won't matter in 5 years. Your life is too valuable. Your attention is too powerful. Once you understand that attention shapes reality, you guard it fiercely. What you focus on grows. What you feed emotionally expands. Silence lets you choose what grows. Your goals sharpen, your vision narrows, your actions become intentional. You stop scattering effort. You start applying pressure in one direction, and pressure CR. Each results. Slow at first, quiet at first, invisible at first, but real. This is where doubt tries to speak. It whispers that you're missing out, that you should explain more, react more, defend yourself, but you've learned better. Not every voice deserves your reply. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every battle deserves your breath. You are building something that requires focus, and focus requires silence. While others broadcast their lives, you construct yours. While others chase attention, you chase alignment. While others react emotionally, you respond strategically. That's the difference. That's the separation. That's why intelligent people appear calm, even under pressure. They've trained their nervous system. They've mastered delay. They've learned to wait without weakening. They don't need to rush. They know where they're going. And when you know where you're going, noise loses power. Insult bounce. Distractions fade. Provocation dissolves. Not because you're numb, because you're anchored. Anchored to purpose, anchored to discipline, anchored to the understanding that your future is built in moments of restraint. This is the real victory, not silence as escape. Silence as direction. You are no longer trying to be right. You are trying to become precise. Precise with time, precise with energy, precise with who gets access to your mind. And when that precision becomes habit, life changes quietly but permanently. You move to fear. NTLI. Think differently. Choose differently. You don't chase peace anymore. You embody it. And once peace lives within you, nothing outside can shake it, not words, not anger, not noise. Because you are no longer reacting to life. You are leading it, and as you begin leading your life instead of reacting to it, a deeper responsibility settles in because awareness changes you. Once you see the truth, you can't pretend you don't. You start noticing how easy it is to fall back. How tempting it feels to engage, how the world constantly tries to pull you into urgency that isn't yours. Noise wants your attention, drama wants your emotion, conflict wants your identity. And now you understand the cost. Every reaction steals focus from your mission. Every emotional detour delays your momentum. Every unnecessary argument weakens your direction. This is where many people hesitate. They enjoy the calm but resist the commitment. They want peace without discipline. Growth without sacrifice. But silence demands standards. It asks you to rise even when no one applauds, to stay composed when your ego begs to speak, to move forward without validation. That's not easy. That's why so few do it. You begin to realize that maturity is lonely at first. When you stop feeding chaos, chaos stops visiting you. When you stop entertaining drama, certain connections fade. Not because you changed for the worse, but because you outgrew the frequency. Some people only recognize you when you react when you don't. They feel uncomfortable. Let them. Your calm is not arrogance. It's alignment. You are no longer available for emotional debt. You are no longer borrowing stress from others. You are no longer living on borrowed opinions. You are building your own internal authority. And that authority reshapes your decisions. You choose habits over hype, consistency over intensity, progress over praise. Small actions done quietly begin stacking fast. Your body strengthens, your mind steadies, your confidence deepens. Not explosive, unshakable. You stop waiting for motivation, you operate from structure, because discipline doesn't need emotion to function. While others rely on feelings, you rely on systems. While others burn hot and fade, you move steadily forward. That's how silence multiplies results. You begin waking up clearer, thinking sharper, moving with intent. Your goals stop being wishes, they become instructions. And with that clarity comes urgency, not panic, purpose. You realize how limited time truly is, how quickly years pass unnoticed, how easily potential decays when attention is scattered. You no longer want to be entertained, you want to be effective, so you guard your mornings, your thoughts, your reactions. You don't argue online, you don't defend your dreams publicly, you don't explain your discipline, you execute, because execution doesn't require agreement. This is where belief locks in. You stop believing life happens to you. You understand life responds to you, to what you tolerate, to what you focus on, to what you repeatedly choose. Silence strengthens your ability to choose. When pressure rises, you don't collapse. When stress appears, you don't scatter. When conflict invites you in, you decline calmly. You stay centered, and that center becomes your advantage. While others are emotionally exhausted by noon, your energy remains intact. While others replay conversation, you plan actions. While others seek attention, you accumulate leverage. That gap widens fast. Success rarely announces itself early. It whispers through consistency. The calm mind outlasts the loud one. The focused mind outperforms the emotional one. The disciplined mind surpasses the talented one. Silence is where that discipline grows. It's not empty. It's concentrated. Every moment you choose not to react, you redirect power inward. Every moment you stay composed, you reinforce identity. Every moment you protect your peace, you protect your future. You are not here to argue your worth. You are here to build it. And building requires isolation from noise. There will be moments you want to explain yourself, moments you want recognition, moments you want to shout your truth, but you've learned restraint. You understand the results speak fluently. So you keep going, quietly, relentlessly, day after day, not trying to look powerful, becoming powerful, not trying to appear intelligent, living intelligently, not reacting, directing. And one day, without warning, the world noticed not your words, your presence, not your arguments, your outcomes, because silence didn't make you invisible. It made you undeniable. You didn't withdraw from life. You mastered it. And from that place of control, clarity, and quiet strength, you finally understand the truth. The smartest minds aren't silent because they have nothing to say. They're silent because they're busy becoming everything they were meant to be. And when you finally understand that truth, something irreversible happens inside you. You stop craving approval. You stop fearing judgment. You stop needing permission to become who you know you are, because silence has done its work. It stripped away distraction. It removed emotional clutter. It revealed the part of you that was buried beneath reaction. Now you see clearly. Most people aren't struggling because life is hard. They're struggling because their minds are loud, pulled in every direction, consumed by opinions that don't build futures. You refuse to live that way. You feel the urgency now, not rushed, awake. You sense how quickly time moves, how moments slip through careless hands, how potential fades when attention is wasted. And you decide something quietly but firmly. No more unnecessary battles. No more emotional leakage, no more trading tomorrow for temporary relief. You begin choosing depth over drama. Your mornings become intentional, your habits become sacred. Your standards rise without announcement. You stop reacting to message instantly. You stop explaining decisions that align with your values. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Because comfort never built greatness. Pressure does, and silence teaches you how to handle pressure without breaking. When stress appears, you breathe. When provocation comes, you pause. When chaos surrounds you, you remain anchored. That anchoring is rare. The world celebrates expression, but forgets control. It praises emotion, but ignores mastery. It rewards noise, but forgets stability. You choose stability not because it's easy, because it's powerful. Your mind becomes a place of clarity instead of conflict. Your thoughts stop racing and start aligning. Your goals stop competing and begin cooperating. Everything moves in one direction, forward. You no longer confuse movement with progress. You measure growth by discipline, by consistency, by how often you choose the harder right over the easier wrong. Silence strengthens that choice. It gives you space to think before acting. It gives you time to see consequences before committing. It gives you authority over impulse. And impulse is what ruins most lives. Impulse spends what should be invested, says what should be considered, react. When patience would win, you outgrow impulse, you become deliberate. Every action gains weight. Every decision gains purpose. Every word gains meaning. People note it. See the shift, not because you announce it, because energy never lies. Your calm unsettled chaos. Your focus exposes distraction. Your restraint highlights emotional weakness around you. Some will admire it. Some will resent it. Both are irrelevant. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to fulfill something deeper. A calling that requires discipline. A future that demands clarity. A version of you that cannot exist in constant reaction. You protect that version fiercely. You stop feeding environments that drain you. You stop revisiting conversations that go nowhere. You stop carrying guilt for choosing peace. Peace is not laziness, it's preparation. It's the ground from which execution rises. And when you execute consistently, life responds. Opportunities multiply. Confidence stabilizes. Momentum becomes undeniable. Not overnight, but inevitably. This is the power of quiet consistency. While others burn bright and fade fast, you endure. While others chase recognition, you chase refinement. While others speak endlessly, you build silently. Your life becomes proof. You don't argue your value, you demonstrate it. You don't defend your direction, you walk it. You don't need to convince anyone. Results speak a language louder than emotion. The urgency sharpens now, because you understand something critical. Every day you delay discipline, someone else advance. Every hour lost to distraction is an hour stolen from your future. Time does not wait for readiness, it rewards commitment. So you commit to mastery over mood, to intention over impulse, to silence over chaos. Not because silence hides you, but because it strengthens you. You realize that intelligent people don't avoid arguments out of fear, they avoid them out of respect. Respect for time, respect for energy, respect for the life they're building. And that life demands focus, deep focus, relentless focus. The kind that grows only in quiet. Now you move differently, think differently, choose differently. You no longer chase the world's attention, you command your own. And that is the moment everything shifts. When you stop needing to be heard and start becoming undeniable. Silence didn't make you small, it made you precise. It carved discipline into your habits, clarity into your thoughts, strength into your presence. You are no longer reacting to life's noise. You are shaping your future with intention, calm, focused, unmovable, because intelligent people don't choose silence to escape the world. They choose silence to conquer it. And once you realize you can shape your future with intention, the responsibility becomes undeniable, because knowing this truth means you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame circumstances. You can no longer pretend you don't have a choice. You do. Every moment asks something of you. React or rise. Engage or elevate. Speak or stay grounded. Silence is no longer just calm. It beckons commitment. A commitment to protect your vision when no one else sees it. To guard your focus when distractions scream the loudest. To stay disciplined when comfort tries to pull you backward. This is where transformation separates from motivation. Motivation fades, discipline remains. You stop waiting to feel ready. You act because the future demands it. Your thoughts grow sharper, your actions cleaner, your standards non-negotiable. You begin saying no without guilt. You begin walking away without anger. You begin choosing yourself without apology. Because self-respect is built in moments no one applauds. The world tests you again. It throws noise in your path. It tempts you with arguments disguised as importance. But now you see through it. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. Every emotional detour weakens momentum. Every unnecessary reaction fractures focus. And focus is the rarest advantage of all. When you protect it, your life accelerates. You no longer live scattered across conversation, opinions, and conflicts. You live centered. Your energy stops leaking. Your confidence stops fluctuating. Your identity stabilizes. That stability becomes magnetic. People feel it when you enter a room, not because you dominate it, but because you don't need to. You listen more. You speak less. And when you do speak, it lands, because restraint gives words weight. You begin to understand that influence isn't built through argument. It's built through consistency. Day after day, choice after choice, quiet progress stacking into something unbreakable. While others chase attention, you chase alignment. While others debate opinion, you refine execution. While others explain plans, you complete them. This is the power most never touch. The power of staying focused when boredom appears. The power of staying calm when ego is challenged. The power of staying silent when reaction would feel easier. Easy choices create loud lives. Hard choices create strong ones. You start making the hard ones. You train your mind like a muscle. Pause becomes natural. Patience becomes instinct. Clarity becomes default. And clarity is dangerous, because once you see the truth, excuses lose their grip. You know exactly what moves you forward. You know exactly what pulls you back. So you choose deliberately. You choose growth over gossip, structure over chaos, long-term fulfillment over momentum, relief. That choice compounds. Weeks turn into momentum, months turn into confidence, years turn into mastery. And suddenly, the life you once imagined feels closer than ever, not because you talked about it, because you protected your energy long enough to build it. The urgency deepens now. Not frantic, focused. You understand that time is not waiting every day. Either strengthens your discipline or weakens it. Every choice either moves you closer or quietly pushes you away. There is no neutral. That awareness sharpens your actions. Why? Oh, stop numbing discomfort. You face it. You stop avoiding pressure. You train under it. You stop arguing with reality. You adapt and advance. This is where silence reveals its final lesson. It's not about saying nothing. It's about refusing to let noise dictate your direction. You speak when it serves your purpose. You withdraw when it preserves your power. You act when others hesitate. That combination is rare, and rarity creates advantage. Your life begins to feel intentional. Your days stop blending together. Your progress becomes measurable. You don't need external validation anymore. You validate yourself through action, through consistency, through discipline, through honoring the promises you make in private. That builds unshakable confidence. Not confidence that demands attention, confidence that doesn't need it. The world may remain loud, people may continue arguing, opinions may multiply endlessly, but you are no longer pulled into it. You have direction. And direction silences doubt. You understand. Now that intelligent people don't avoid arguments because they lack courage. They avoid them because they value momentum more than momentary victory. They know the loudest reaction rarely leads to the strongest outcome. So they choose silence, not as retreat, as refinement. Not as weakness, as discipline. Not as absence, as control. And with that control, you step fully into who you are becoming. Focused, grounded, relentless. No longer chasing. Peace, living in it. No longer reacting to life, designing it, because when silence becomes your foundation, nothing external can shake you. And when nothing can shake you, nothing can stop you. And when you reach that place of control, the world doesn't suddenly become easier. It becomes clearer. You begin to see how many people are running in circles, talking endlessly, reacting constantly exhausted, yet convinced they're moving forward. You're not judging them. You simply recognize the pattern you escaped. Because once silence becomes your foundation, chaos becomes obvious. You notice how urgency is manufactured, how outrage is recycled, how attention is hunted like currency. And you refuse to be harvested by it. Your life no longer belongs to algorithms, opinions, or emotional storms. It belongs to intention. That realization carries weight. It means every day matters now. Every habit counts. Every decision leaves a mark. There is no hiding behind ignorance anymore. You know that what you tolerate today becomes your reality tomorrow. You know that what you repeatedly ignore eventually controls you. You know that discipline delayed becomes regret. That knowledge creates pressure, good pressure. The kind that forces growth. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop romanticizing comfort. You stop telling yourself there will be time later. Later is expensive. Later is where dreams decay quietly. So you move now, not loudly, not dramatically, decisively. You choose effort when excuses appear, structure when motivation fades, consistency when emotion fluctuates. And this is where your silence becomes visible, not through words, through results. Your focus deepens, your confidence stabilizes, your pace becomes steady and unstoppable. While others sprint emotionally, you march strategically. You don't need bursts of inspiration. You rely on identity. You are becoming someone who follows through, someone who doesn't break promises to themselves, someone who doesn't collapse under pressure, someone who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. Calm becomes your baseline. From that calm, power grows. Because a regulated mind can handle stress. A disciplined mind can delay gratification. A focused mind can outwork talent. You begin to understand why intelligent people protect silence so fiercely. It's where thinking happens. It's where planning sharpens. It's where direction is born. Noise interrupts that process. That's why you stop filling every gap with sound. You stop reacting instantly. You stop explaining prematurely. You let thoughts mature. And mature thoughts build strong lives. You realize that most mistakes aren't made from bad intention. They're made from rushed emotion. Anger speaks too fast. Ego interrupts wisdom. Impulse disguises itself as confidence. Silence slows all of it down. It gives you a moment between trigger and action, and in that moment lies freedom. Freedom to choose strength. Hope over satisfaction. Freedom to choose growth over pride. Freedom to choose the future over the moment. That moment changes everything. Because your life is not shaped by what happens to you. It's shaped by how you respond. You stop asking why things happen. You start deciding how you will handle them. This is ownership. And ownership transforms ordinary people into unstoppable ones. You begin setting boundaries that don't require explanation. You stop chasing clarity from those committed to confusion. You stop draining yourself trying to be understood by everyone. Your energy becomes selective. And selectivity creates excellence. You invest in what compound: health, skills, focus, character. You remove what distracts: drama, comparison, endless opinion. Your world becomes smaller but stronger. Less noise, more direction. Less reaction, more creation. The urgency intensifies now. because you can feel momentum building, and momentum is fragile. It grows when protected, it dies when neglected. You know, one careless season can undo years of progress. One return to chaos can fracture discipline. One addiction to noise can pull you backward. So you guard your mind like a fortress. You choose environments carefully. You choose conversations intentionally. You choose silence whenever clarity is at risk. Not because you fear confrontation, because you value progress. You are not avoiding conflict. You are prioritizing purpose. That distinction defines Motivatio. Why? Your identity no longer depends on being right. It depends on becoming better. You don't win by proving others wrong. You win by proving yourself consistent. And consistency reshapes destiny, slowly, quietly, inevitably. One focused day at a time. You don't need applause. You don't need validation. You don't need to announce your evolution. Growth doesn't require witnesses. It requires discipline. And discipline grows best in silence. Now your presence carries weight. Your calm influences others. Your focus inspires without preaching. Not because you say anything, because you live it. You understand something most never will. The world will always be loud, always demanding reaction, always inviting conflict. But intelligent people choose silence not to disappear. They choose it to sharpen, to strengthen, to rise. Because when your mind is calm, your actions become precise. When your actions become precise, your results become inevitable. And when results arrive, arguments become irrelevant. You are no longer trying to be heard. You are building something too real to ignore. Silence didn't take your voice. It gave your life one. And once your life begins speaking for you, the pressure intensifies. Because clarity attracts responsibility. You can't unknow what you know now. You can't return to noise without feeling the cost. You can't pretend chaos is normal anymore. Your awareness has raised the standard. Now every reaction feels expensive. Every distraction feels heavy. Every wasted hour feels loud. You begin to sense the difference between motion and momentum, between being busy and becoming powerful, between talking about change and embodying it. Most people never cross that line. They flirt with growth. They admire discipline. They consume inspiration, but they never commit. You do. You commit to guarding your inner world like your life depends on it, because it does. Your mind shapes your habits. Your habits shape your days. Your days shape your destiny. And destiny doesn't care about intention. It responds to consistency. So you build it quietly. You wake up when it's uncomfortable. You train when motivation disappears. You stay focused when boredom creeps in. You stop asking if something feels good. You ask if it moves you forward. That single shift rewires everything. You stop chasing emotional highs. You stop building emotional stability. You stop wanting to be impressive. You want to be effective. The world celebrates intensity. You choose endurance because intensity burns out. Endurance compounds. This is where silence becomes sacred. It's the space where discipline breathes, where reflection sharpens decisions, where you reconnect with your deeper reasons, not surface goals, core purpose, why you started, why you refuse to quit, why you're willing to walk alone for a while. Because the path upward is rarely crowded. Noise gathers masses. Silence builds leaders. You start noticing how much strength exists in restraint, how much authority lives in calm, how much confidence is born from self-control. You don't rush to respond anymore. You let moments settle. You allow emotions to pass without obeying them. That pause becomes your edge. While others speak impulsively, you calculate. While others react emotionally, you choose strategically. While others defend pride, you protect progress. You stop trying to win moments. You focus on winning years. That perspective changes your behavior. You invest differently. You speak differently. You think in decades instead of days. And urgency deepens. Because you realize something critical. Life doesn't slow down for clarity. It doesn't wait for confidence. It doesn't pause for comfort. It keeps moving. Every day you either evolve with it or fall behind quietly. So you stop postponing growth. You stop saying someday. You stop negotiating standards. You stop lowering expectations for yourself. You demand more, not from the world, from you. More discipline, more focus, more responsibility. And responsibility is heavy, but it's also free. Because once you accept that your life is yours to build, blame loses power, excuses collapse, victimhood disappears. You are no longer waiting to be saved. You are becoming structured, enough to save yourself. Silence supports that transformation. It shields you from external chaos. It gives your mind room to expand. It allows you to hear the voice that knows the value. That must be done. That voice doesn't shout. It whispers, and only the quiet can hear it. You realize that most people aren't lacking intelligence, they're lacking stillness. Their minds never stop long enough to mature to thought. Their emotions never settle long enough to guide action. You choose differently. You cultivate patience. You refine judgment. You slow down just enough to move faster later, because speed without direction leads nowhere. Direction without noise leads everywhere. Your life begins to feel aligned, not perfect, but intentional. You stop reacting to every comment. You stop absorbing every opinion. You stop internalizing every conflict. You conserve energy for creation of skill, creation of structure, creation of a future that doesn't collapse under pressure. This is not about becoming silent forever. It's about becoming selective. You speak when it builds. You stay quiet when it distracts. You act when it matters. That discipline shapes your presence. People may not always understand you, but they will feel your strength. Because calm is contagious, focus is intimidating, consistency is undeniable. You are no longer pulled by the world's urgency. You move by your own. You understand now that intelligent people don't avoid arguments because they fear conflict. They avoid them because they value momentum more than ego. They know that every reaction has a cost, and they refuse to pay for things that don't move them forward. Or they choose silence again and again, not as avoidance, as alignment, not as retreat, as refinement. And over time, that choice reshapes everything. Your thinking deepens, your actions sharpen, your life stabilizes. You don't chase peace anymore, you operate from it. And from that place, you build something rare, a life directed by purpose, strength guided by restraint, power rooted in clarity. The word may stay loud, but you won't, because silence didn't make you smaller. It made you unshakable, and when you become unshakable, life begins demanding proof, not words, not promises, proof through action, because calm without movement becomes comfort, and comfort slowly erodes greatness. You feel it now, that pull forward. That quiet pressure reminding you that peace is not the destination, it's the platform. Silence gave you clarity, now clarity demands courage. Courage to act without applause, to move when no one notices, to stay disciplined when the excitement fades. This is where many stop. They reach calm and settle. They mistake stability for arrival. They protect peace but forget purpose. You cannot afford that mistake, because potential decays when unused. You weren't given awareness just to feel better. You were given it to build more, a stronger mind, a sharper life, a future that reflects intention, not accident. Now the stakes are real. Every day you wake up either strengthens the identity you're becoming or weakens it. Every habit either confirms discipline or invites regression. There is no pause button. Silence taught you restraint. Now restraint must evolve into execution. You begin setting standards that don't bend. You decide what your mornings look like, what your energy touches, what distractions never enter. Again, you stop negotiating with weakness, not angrily, decisively. Because growth doesn't require aggression, it requires consistency. You understand now that confidence is built through evidence, promises kept, work completed, effort repeated long after motivation leaves. That evidence accumulates quietly. No celebration, no announcement, just progress stacking beneath the surface. While others speak about change, you become it. You no longer need to argue your values. Your lifestyle expresses them. You don't explain discipline, you live it. You don't convince people of your focus. They see it in your absence from chaos. That absence becomes powerful. You are no longer everywhere. You are exactly where you need to be. Focus narrows. Vision sharpens. Your life stops scattering. And something dangerous forms. Momentum. Momentum doesn't care about mood. It doesn't wait for confidence. It rewards movement. Once it builds, it carries you forward even on hard days. But momentum is fragile. It dies the moment you return to noise. It weakens when you entertain distractions. It fades when you seek comfort instead of challenge. You know this now. That's why you protect your routines, your sleep, your time alone. Not because isolation feels good, but because alignment demands space. Space to think, space to reflect, space to hear the internal voice that knows what must be done next. That voice grows stronger the quieter the world becomes. It doesn't flower you. It doesn't comfort you. It directs you. It reminds you that becoming exception is not dramatic. It's repetitive. The same habits, the same standards, the same commitment when no one is watching. That's the price. and you are finally willing to pay it. You stop asking how long it will take, you ask how consistent you can be. You stop seeking shortcuts, you build foundations, because shortcuts impress briefly, foundations endure. This is where belief transforms. You no longer believe in motivation, you believe in structure. You no longer chase inspiration, you rely on identity. You are someone who shows up, someone who finishes, someone who stays silent and works. That identity changes how you move through the world. Pressure no longer scares you, it sharpens you. Criticism no longer distracts you, it reveals who lacks vision. You stop needing agreement. Agreement never built anything meaningful, execution does, and execution thrives in quiet. You begin understanding why intelligent people protect silence with their lives, because it guards the most valuable asset they have, focus. Focus creates skill. Skill creates leverage. Leverage creates freedom. Arguments create not. They burn time. They drain emotion. They leave no results behind. You choose differently. You invest where growth compounds. You withdraw where energy decays. You don't prove yourself. You improve yourself. And improvement changes everything. Your posture shifts. Your speech slows. Your presence deepens. You no longer rush life. You direct it not loudly, not aggressively, precisely. You understand now that silence is not an absence of strength. It is the environment where strength is forged, where discipline becomes instinct, where patience becomes power, where clarity becomes direction. The world will keep shouting, keep arguing, keep demanding reaction. Let it. You have work to do, a mind to sharpen, a body to train, a future to construct. And futures are not built in debate. They are built in commitment. So you move forward quietly, focused, intentional, not chasing attention, creating progress. Not reacting to noise, executing in silence, because you finally understand the truth. Beneath it all,